name is Vikas. I am the founder of 9.9 Media and the publisher of CSO Forum. Welcome you on behalf of CSO Forum, my team, my company, and our advisory council members to the 9th annual CSO Forum event. It's really a pleasure for us to be here. We skipped an event in between towards the end of last year. We actually do two, one annual and one mid-year. For various reasons, we were unable to do the mid-year event, so there's been a bit of gap in our engagement with all of you, and I apologize for that. Promise not to have that happen again in this year. In fact, we've already started planning for something very, very different and interesting for all of you for our 10th annual event, because a decade of existence, we have to do something that's going to be very different for all of you to engage with and benefit from. But more on that later. There's been a lot of discussion about demonetization, the good aspects and the bad aspects, and has business got hit or business not got hit, and God alone knows what the truth is. But there's one thing that's definitely happened as a result of demonetization. There's increasing awareness and appreciation that India is fast becoming a digital economy, right? And our lives and our businesses and our corporate existence is somehow or the other linked to a digital economy. And whenever you use the word economy, it means money, and wherever there's money, there's crime. And wherever there's crime, there has to be all of you, right? And that was quite simply the kitchen logic we used in coming up with the theme for this particular event, securing a digital economy. There couldn't be a more appropriate time for us to discuss this subject and get viewpoints on this topic. And which is why, as you would have seen the agenda that we have today, we have various aspects of this topic being discussed with you, both from our partners as well as our speakers from the industry and experts from the industry.
First of all, I'd like to wish all the women in here happy Women's Day, because today being a Women's Day, I think it's only important that we wish them, and good that we have some diversity in this room. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to find women CISOs and women security professionals. So I welcome you all to this. So the session today, which I'm going to talk about, is more on rising cybercrime and frauds in the digital economy, right? And I'm not going to specifically talk about technical stuff. You're all aware of what kind of cybercrimes and what kind of hacking attempts, etc. We have talked a lot about it, but I'm going to talk more about the philosophy behind it, and why it is happening and what is actually happening. So we have been talking a lot about demonetization, right? So I'm not going to again talk about demonetization. That's just one part of the digital economy, right? But what exactly when we are saying all the companies are going digital, all the companies are moving towards the digital digital side. So what exactly are we talking about here? There are a lot of words which are getting thrown about when we say digital, when we say demonetization, when we say when we start talking about it, there's a lot of new words which come up, which keep popping up. We talk about smartphones, we talk about e-commerce, we talk about e-wallets, e-payments, we talk about omni-channel, social marketing, fintech now, insurtech. We talk about data-driven marketing, we talk about blockchain, we talk of so many things, right? So what exactly is this digital economy, and what exactly are the risks in these digital economy? So digitalization, it's not just demonetization or just a cashless or just a technology shift. No, it's a shift change to me in how we think, how we connect, and how we engage as a business, right? So today, everything is changing towards digital. Every company is thinking. If you ask any marketing person, and if you ask any of the marketing people here, the first thing is it's all digital first, right? They talk about digital first. They talk about mobile first. They talk about digital marketing and things like that. Nobody talks about the age-old way of marketing. So it's a way we conduct business that has changed completely, and it's not just the business, right? So obviously all the businesses. Is there anybody here who is not talking about digital in any of your businesses today? No one, right? Everybody is talking digital. Everybody is trying to go digital. And we saw what digital means, right? We all know what this digital economy is taking us, where this is taking us, and how we are engaging with our customers, how we are engaging with our stakeholders, how we are engaging with regulators. Everything is moving towards digital. But it's not just the business side of it. The digital economy is also making our lives digital. Now, it's also the way how we live today. So if you look at our lives today, so just to take an example, today morning, or yesterday morning rather, when I came, so I stay in Bangalore, and yesterday morning, I was waken up by my wife saying, milk has not come. What can I do? No, so you did not deposit the money into the app, and the milk actually gets delivered through an app. No, I have to, every day I can change how much milk I want on the app before 12 midnight, and next day morning, the milk delivery guy has an app. He checks and he delivers basis that. So it starts right from there. The milk and newspaper delivery starts through an app. To the way we travel today, the way we you would have taken a cab here, you would have taken an Uber or whatever, right? So you would have taken you use digital means to book your cab. You use digital means to make a payment. So our lives have been taken over by digitalization today. So everything is getting digital, and everything is moving towards digital. So how is it changing? How is it changing the way the frauds and cybercrimes are coming into picture? So what is happening today? We are living, this is making our world much more volatile, right? So many of you may be aware of this concept, but this is the concept which was introduced by the American military forces. So they talk about the VUCA world, right? So when the American military, the way they operate, they say they operate in a VUCA world, which is a volatile world, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And this is what the digital economy has started making our lives. Our lives have become volatile. Our lives have become much more uncertain. Our lives and our businesses, obviously, the way we do business, they have started becoming much more complex. Earlier, it was very simple. Now, there are omni-channels. There are multiple things which, as CISOs, you need to look at, right? Ambiguity. A lot of new regulations are coming in around security. That is making our lives ambiguous. And those regulations are not very, very precise sometimes. And that makes our lives, it makes it very ambiguous. How do we implement security to meet and comply with those regulations, right? So how is this linked to fraud and cybercrime, right? So when we talk about fraud and cybercrime, are you aware of the fraud triangle? Anybody is aware what goes behind the fraud? Why frauds happen? The philosophy behind frauds. There's something called the fraud triangle. A fraud happens because of three things. It requires three things to be in place, right? The first thing is need or greed, for that matter. It could be the need of the person that he needs to get that money or do that, get some asset or something of that sort, right? So it's the need or greed in the first place, right? The second thing is rationalization. Inherently, human beings are not bad, right? They need to do a bad deed. They need some rationalization. They need something to make them believe that, okay, they're not really doing it bad. They can rationalize it, right? So just to take an example, right? So let's take a very simple example of, suppose you're working late in office one night, right? And you leave office way past midnight in your car. You're driving down the street, and the streets are empty. You come at a traffic junction, right? You need to reach home very fast, but you see a red light. Now you're already tired. You want to go home as quickly as possible, but there's a red light. But there are no vehicles on the road, right? Will you stop or will you not stop? Will you stop? Your training, your gut feel says you should stop, right? But okay, assume that they are functioning. I'm just taking a hypothetical example, right? And I'm not in any way saying that you are fraudsters, so don't take it that way either. But I'm just trying to give an example of the fraud triangle. So if there's a red light, will you stop or not stop? You want to stop, right? Sorry, I didn't. No, ambulance, no, it's your car, right? So if it's your car, you're driving home, you will. So, okay, then you rationalize it. Okay, okay, so that's the rationalization that everybody is doing. Why should I stop? That's the rationalization, very good, possibly. So there's a need that you have to reach home fast. There's a rationalization that everybody else is doing it, so why shouldn't I do it? Then what you'll do, the third thing. Will you go right away? Or will you do something else? Will you hesitate? What will you do before going? Exactly. You will look around whether there's a cop standing after the signal who will catch you or not, right? That is the opportunity part of it. Do you have the opportunity to break the law at that point in time or not, right? So there are three things which a fraud requires to happen. One is the need or the greed, one is rationalization, and the last thing is opportunity. And most of the frauds, most of the crimes are opportunistic frauds, right? In our case, in the cybercrime world, of course, there are different actors. So there are insiders who do opportunistic fraud. There are other threat vectors like there are hacktivists. Again, they have a rationalization. They think that you are the bad person and it's their right or it's their duty to hack you and expose you, etc. So those are the hacktivists. Then there are the organized crime gangs. They do it for a livelihood. Again, they have a rationalization. They are greedy for money, basically, and they also have a rationalization that maybe everybody else has it, I don't have it. The haves and the have-nots, that kind of a difference, and that's why they are into that. They are not educated, maybe, and that's why they are into cybercrime or whatever crime they are doing. So they have a rationalization. They again have a need or a greed. But what we are providing them, what we are providing the hackers, what we are providing the criminals, is the opportunity in this VUCA world. When we are moving towards the digital economy, we are providing them the opportunity to commit that crime. We are helping them, or we are providing them this opportunity. So that is something which we as CISOs need to ensure that we don't provide this opportunity. We break this fraud triangle or the cybercrime triangle, because we can't touch their need or greed. We can't touch their rationalization. What we can touch, what is in our control, is the opportunity part of it. And that is something as CISOs we need to look at. So if you look at the World Economic Forum, so this is the 2017, they publish this report almost every year. So this is the 2017 Global Risk Interconnections Map. And if you look at this, the top few risks, what they have identified, and this has been continuously coming through in the last 3 or 4 reports, is cyber attacks. Cyber attacks, data fraud or theft at the bottom, adverse consequences of technological advances. Again, this is the opportunity what we are providing for these cyber attacks, and they're all interlinked. And you can see the critical information infrastructure breakdown as well. So all these things coming together, interconnected. And they're not just interconnected within the IT part of it, but they are interconnected with the other risks as well. So those get interconnected with terrorist attacks, interstate conflicts, so where state actors get involved in attacking or into cyber attacks, etc. So, and then they get further interconnected into economic risks as well, right? So it's all interlinked together, and it starts somewhere. Any of these can sort of give rise to the other risks. So all the risks are interconnected. But most important, what we are talking about here today is the cyber attacks, data fraud or theft, the critical information infrastructure breakdown, etc., which again are coming out of this VUCA world, as we call it. So what are the kinds of threats what we are seeing, right? So these are some real newspaper cuttings or newspaper articles, which headlines which I have found. Cyber crooks could soon hold a city to ransom. The growing cyber threat of ransomware could be turned against connected systems, and it has happened in a few cases. It has not been publicized. In some cities in the US, it has happened. In Russia, it has happened already. And some of these have been predicted in movies earlier. So if you have seen Die Hard 4, have you seen Die Hard 4, Bruce Willis? It's exactly the same thing, doing a cyber attack on the entire city grid, right? The entire city is taken to ransom. Exactly the same thing. In San Francisco, it has happened. This was 2016, end of 2016. A ransomware attack on the networks of the MTA, the Municipal Transport Network, responsible for public transport in San Francisco, resulted in a travel blackout, right? And people could actually travel for free because of this attack. it was a ransomware attack. They demanded some 100 bitcoins to give away the systems back to them. Recently, this was very recent, I think last week, cyber criminals go digital. They are laying Bitcoin traps for investors. So bitcoins, we are moving towards bitcoins, we are moving towards blockchain technology, etc. But again, these are being attacked, and there are cyber crimes happening around this. A woman in US, again, lost her entire inheritance in cybersecurity scam. This was identity theft scam which happened. And again, it was, if you have seen The Net, which was a Sandra Bullock movie probably 7-8 years ago, 10 years ago, it actually predicted something very similar, right? And very recent movie in 2016, IT, Pierce Brosnan movie. I don't know how many of you have seen this. If you have not seen, very interesting movie, you should see it. All CISOs should see that movie, what could go wrong when you have, this is exactly the insider threat, what it talks about, and how insiders, malicious insiders can hold you to ransom or actually manipulate the systems within the net, within your company or within your life. So these are some of the new trends what we're seeing, or what is going to happen in future. This is something which probably can happen. But it's not only the big businesses. It's also the small businesses which are getting targeted, right? If you see cyber attacks by business size, I think there's a Symantec survey which was done. And if you see, the blue ones are the large companies, and the red ones are the small-sized companies. If you see, over a period of time, the attacks on smaller companies have started increasing. So it's not just the Yahoos and Amazons of the world or the big banks who should be afraid. It's also the small and medium companies also who should really take this seriously. Indian company, so what's happening in India? So we are talking about US, we are talking about UK, etc., right? So what's happening in India? India, again, cybercrime is increasing, definitely. If you see the NCRB data, the National Crime Records Bureau data, over the last 10 years, cybercrimes have gone up 19 times, obviously. But in the last, I think, 2 years, if I remember right, it's gone up by 3 times. And this data is only available till 2015. This is in public domain. But 2016, 17, I'm sure after demonetization, etc., the number of crimes, the number of incidents would have definitely increased. And the reason being, there are a lot of gullible people around. There are, again, it comes back to the VUCA world, because a lot, we are making so many changes in the way people conduct business, go about their lives, and a lot of people are not as educated as all of us in this room are. And we know that these are the gullible people who are getting attacked, who are getting conned by the fraudsters. Again, a lot of statistics here. I will not go through all of this, but yeah. So the challenge, the bigger challenge is that a lot of smaller companies, we saw that smaller companies are also getting attacked, but a lot of smaller companies do not have the right kind of mechanisms in place to stop these cyber attacks or counter these cyber attacks. So 74%, no detailed cyber risk assessment has happened. 78% of the companies have no cyber incident response plan. 61% of the companies did not have data leakage prevention tools. 62% of the companies did not have logging or monitoring of critical systems. And these are small and medium-sized companies. But all of these companies then are at risk. The big companies, obviously, they have the budgets, they have the resources, they can manage. But it's all the companies now are under threat. In India, again, in 2016, 700 government websites were hacked from 2013 to 2016. That's 3 years, right? There have been multiple cases of conning or frauds or cybercrime happening, and the police has been successful in catching some of them. Others, they seem to have escaped, but we have seen some cases getting cracked very, very fast. So in the left one, that is Jaipur, and this one is in UP somewhere, in Noida, where there were major cases which were cracked by the police, their special task force. So what do we need to do as CISOs now? We have to stop this fraud happening. We have to stop this cybercrime happening. We have to save not just our companies, but our neighbors, our relatives, everyone, right? Across our friends, our families, they are all at risk now. So what do we need to do? I think the most important thing is we all need to work together, and which the cyber criminals do much better and much more efficiently than us. So as CISOs, we need to work together all of us need to work together, and it's not just within the private companies. It has to be a public-private partnership. We have to work with law enforcement. We have to work with the police. We have to work with the legal fraternity to ensure that we are able to stop this as much as possible. Again, reporting incidents to the CERT. This does not happen. All of us are afraid to go, and because of reputational risks, we don't go to the police, we don't go to the CERT, we don't publicize the incidents, and that's the reason why we don't have data today. Right? Most of the data is dated or just surveys conducted, which I don't know how accurate that data is. But unless we start reporting all the incidents to the CERT, we will not ever get this data. Make your management aware of this risk, because the management, they want to enhance their business. Their focus is different. They are going after profits. They are going after growth, right? And then they're going digital in full speed. And as CISOs, it's our responsibility, obviously, to make them aware of these risks. Get required resources. Unless you make your management aware, you will not get the required resources to help you manage this risk. End user awareness, obviously, it's not just within our companies. I think it's important as CISOs to do some social service, some public work. I try to go to schools, I try to go to colleges and try to give these lectures, make people aware. I would suggest all of us need to do this. All of us really need to propagate this information, propagate awareness about cyber risks to the general public. So finally, we need to take it seriously. Today it's your neighbor, tomorrow it could be you or your family, right? That's all I had to say. Thank you very much.